My name is Luke Harding. I am a current graduate student at Arizona State University, and today I will be discussing the history and rise of higher education in the U.S. from the end of the Second World War to today. I will be examining how the growth of higher education has affected on how it is now marketed to students. Currently, I'm an international recruiter for ASU, and my career plans and goals include becoming a senior director of recruitment or enrollment management at a major university. We will just start by understanding the rise and the growth of higher education in the United States, and then on to how universities have adopted recruitment and marketing techniques to keep it that way. In 1947, the President's Commission on Higher Education and a Democracy concluded that federal funding of research should continue even in peacetime. In response to the problem of returning military personnel to the domestic economy and as a measure of gratitude, Congress passed the Servicemen's Readjustment Act in 1944, popularly known as the GI Bill. For at least a temporary period, this generous and flexible financial aid program enabled an unprecedented number of veterans to attend colleges and universities. It was marketed as a way to avoid veterans coming home and becoming jobless and homeless like the previous World War. The federal government participated in the expansion of sponsored research and development education during the 1950s and 60s. Both public and private universities benefited from governmental concerns about the Cold War defense and competition with the Soviet Union. Fears resulting from an extended definition of national defense led to the funding and marketing for advanced studies in foreign languages, anthropology, and political science, as well as the hard sciences of physics and chemistry. Enrollment numbers also surged during the Cold War era. Just prior to World War II, the state universities with largest enrollments, namely The Ohio State University and the University of California at Berkeley, surged far ahead of other institutions with enrollments of around 19,000. Many major state universities prior to the Second World War had enrollments between 3,000 and 6,000. By 1970, however, The Ohio State University's main campus at Columbus enrolled more than 50,000 students. The University of California had expanded its Berkeley campus enrollment to more than 26,000 students. A 15-year period beginning in 1985 was a financial roller coaster for higher education in the United States, despite the underlying growth of the enterprise. Many public higher education institutions saw tremendous amounts of growth by this time, but funding was on the short end of the stick. By the mid-1980s, virtually every political party candidate ran as an educational candidate, testimony to the hope that states placed in their colleges and universities to stimulate economic development. Ambitious university presidents seized this opportunity to buy the best by marketing and recruiting notable faculty, bright students, qualified doctoral candidates, and even student athletes. The graphs show the college enrollment numbers for public and private schools in the United States from 1965 to 2017. In 2015, about 5.41 million students were enrolled in private colleges and 14.57 million in public colleges. From 1965 to 2015, total college enrollment increased by roughly 240%. The ratio of public to private colleges has increased slightly over this time, with public colleges making up 67% of enrollments in 1965 and 72% enrollment in 2014. We now have a better understanding on how the growth of public higher education occurred in the United States after the Second World War. After looking at past years and current enrollment numbers, we may now start to look at the effect it made and how it is marketed today. Here we examine a graph that shows the trends from 1976 to 2013 on the reasons for students to enroll into colleges. Notice the significant amount of growth in both the reasons of getting a better job and to make more money for reasons to attend colleges. The past era of students attending public universities appeared to be highly marketed and driven by this exact reason. Marketing is essential to the growth and development of all major businesses. Well, now it is the same in public higher education institutions. colleges and schools, regardless of size, prestige, or location, want to attract and retain the best and most suitable candidates. And successful enrollment starts with good and effective marketing strategies. For example, let's look at Laura and her mother and how both of them might have chosen a school based on the time that they were going to a public university. Laura's mother's college selection was marketed much less by data and more by human interaction. Laura, on the other hand, is marketed by almost everything that appears in front of a computer, letting her analyze her college selection based off of data. Social media has become the younger generation's primary means of interacting with the world. Unsurprisingly, they are also actively appealing their love for social media to their educational lives, using it to inform everything from their school selection to course choices. Attention to this shift has been critical to higher education. The numbers do not lie. Higher education marketing statistics show that educational institutions experienced the highest follower growth across social media landscape in recent years, with an average annual follower growth of 77%. Much of this increased performance correlates with more engaging social media content. University brands are now paying more attention to what their audience wants to see and hear, and are considering a more customer service first approach to their higher education marketing strategy to the new era of students. While higher education institutions are seeing a higher follower growth and social media engagement overall, the actual interactions aren't evenly distributed between channels. For instance, average Twitter engagement levels remain relatively low, while Instagram seems to deliver the highest levels of engagement in relations to the number of followers. This increased level of social engagement has been visible from a public relations amplification standpoint as well. Universities have enjoyed heightened public relations performance with an average of 121,000 social shares from press mentions per month. This indicates that there is an increased interest from both the general public and from the media with regards to higher education content, news, and media. Higher education marketing has exploded in recent years. Due to fact of the major growth of higher education enrollment numbers in the U.S., the need to recruit diverse and qualified students also means that public universities and schools around the U.S. must commit more time and resources to marketing their institutions to students, both domestic and international. And because higher education is a service industry, establishing and maintaining a relevant and reputable brand, it relies heavily on a variety of factors. In many cases, individual departments aim to develop marketing strategies that are relevant and productive within the context of their own goals. When universities and schools are faced with such complex marketing challenges, higher education marketing firms offer the structure and organization needed to manage these conflicts and demands. Let's use the company of Up and Up and the relationship with the University of Kentucky as an example on how their education is being marketed differently. Up and Up is based in Greenville, South Carolina, and has worked with other universities such as Florida State, the University of Georgia, Clemson, George Mason, and Auburn University. This is one of their recent projects that includes a digital experience for the University of Kentucky that helps lead students and prospective students through the difficult decision process of choosing a major, something that may seem minor but could ultimately persuade a student to attend that university over another. Additionally, for the University of Kentucky, this software is another way of obtaining data that may lead to the university investing additional funds into a certain recruiting program. Alongside traditional academic structures and instructional methods, many institutions now offer extensive online and distance learning opportunities. Online degree and certification programs have moved beyond an emerging market to become one of the most popular and lucrative higher education sectors. And on the other side of the spectrum, increased student mobility and the emphasis on international experience as a crucial part of higher education means that foundation, preparatory, and pathway programs have become an essential feature of globally minded higher education institutions around the U.S. Like traditional on-campus offerings, online and pathway programs are aimed at specific student groups and require custom marketing strategies to ensure that the right students find the right programs for themselves. While many online programs and distance learning courses are often marketed to non-traditional students looking to complete a degree or develop professional skills, the pathway programs seek to identify and enroll international students at the earliest point in their higher education plans. Distance education has grown in different dimensions to become the chosen route for some public higher education institutions. The edgeability aspect of distance learning attracts even adult students to pursue higher education goals. The growing market has come as a result of the increasing demand for better competencies for a particular job market. To cater this growing need, some universities even offer intensive online master's programs that allow students to graduate earlier so they can get a job faster. Ever-increasing competition for student enrollment has created a strong need for higher education institutions to separate themselves amongst one another. Today, effective strategic planning and brand management require more than traditional advertising, marketing, or identity development. Institutions that craft and manage a unified brand message, experience, and environment achieve a competitive advantage in recruiting, retaining, and building loyalty amongst their students, their parents, staff, faculty, alumni, and even their donors. No longer limited to a strictly commercial marketing route that was previously achieved in the last decades of a recruitment strategy for higher education, the concepts of branding are becoming increasingly important in the world of higher education. The interpretation of an institution's brand into a unique, engaging experience is crucial as higher education positions itself into the 21st century. One great example of a branded environment that integrates and manages its contact points well is Starbucks. No matter Starbucks is not a public university, we will use them as an example to correlate the similarities between a business model brand with an education one. Unlike the static cookie-cutter approach of a fast food chain, such as Wendy's, where every location is exactly the same day in and day out, Starbucks creates an individualized place where each Starbucks location is unique, while also regularly changing and updating elements of its environment, including their graphics, their communications, and their product offerings. The key is that Starbucks continues to skillfully create a consistent brand experience with their audience, while also employing all of those individual variations amongst their customer experience. Although a customer may never set foot in other locations, they prize their expectation on the mind of the brand experience which Starbucks delivers upon. The same concept of brand management goes for Arizona State. Arizona State, like many other universities, uses distinct fonts, colors, and logos across their 6 unique campuses. No matter ASU has 6 campuses in their different locations, as well as a large growing distance learning program known as ASU Online, their brand and identity are represented throughout all of them, and that is how their university is being marketed to current students today. Providing a quality education is no longer enough, but rather the entry cost for higher education. Students, families, alumni, and even faculty are seeking a sense of place and a memorable experience when deciding where to go to school. Here at ASU, the opportunity to utilize a branded environment is clear. The intent is not to create a fake Disneyland campus, but rather a true environment that builds upon the values and essence of the institution to amplify its unique qualities, features, and benefits. 15 years ago, most higher education institutions were in schools and at college fairs, passing out information to prospective students. Today is still similar, but currently, email marketing is now a valuable tool for brand identity and student recruitment in higher education. Email marketing campaigns will have essential tasks like identifying recipients, constructing an email list, and targeting a specific market of students. In past decades, school officials would be sent out all over the country to not only promote and market their university, but also to collect contacts that were interested in the school. Today, many third-party resources may be asked to provide this information regarding some of these things, such as prospective contacts. A student may never set foot on the campus or even hold an information book, but with all of this new digital marketing, they will not have to. There will be great challenges for promoting and marketing higher education due to its large growth, rising tuition costs, and the large amount of student loan debt. Left out initially from the presentation to focus on the marketing trends in higher education today, the student loan debt was not presented, but now needed to include this factor for a short time to present and show the future challenges and how the marketing of higher education will shift due to this now major issue that higher education students are now facing.
It's that time of the year again. Caps and gowns, pomp and circumstance, the best 4 years of your life officially behind you, and ahead of you, a shit ton of debt. Congratulations, class of 2016. You're officially screwed.
I have on the order of $40,000 in debt.
Something like $6,000-$7,000 of loans?
30,000 to 40,000.
I mean, I don't know the exact number, but I know it's over 25,000.
After 4 years of attending University of California, Berkeley, I will owe 150,000, or between 150,000 to $200,000.
Last year's class of 2015 was sent off into the world as the most indebted class in history, owing more than an average of a whopping $35,000. And they're not alone. 71% of college kids today are taking out student loans for an undergraduate degree, which now costs more than $100,000 on average. They're joining the 40 million people in this country that are burdened with student debt. And with wages stagnant, that means it's a lot harder to settle down, to buy a house, to start a family, or save for retirement. More and more people are pushing these things further and further back because they're still paying off their tuition 21 years after graduating. Maybe that's why 43% of folks with government student loans aren't making their payments. Wasn't college supposed to help you get ahead in life, not hold you back? Back when I attended UC Berkeley, in-state tuition was less than $6,000 a year. Now it's $13,500. So how did things get so bad? Well, the recession has played a role, with states using it as an excuse to slash higher education budgets. In 2015, the average state was spending 20% less per student than in 2007, before the financial crisis. That means universities are raising tuition fees to make up the difference. But that's not the only explanation for why getting a degree comes with loans these days. While students might be struggling, many university presidents aren't. Columbia University's president took home $4.6 million in 2015. Even some public schools, which are funded by the taxpayer, have paid presidents over $1 million a year. And let's not forget about football coaches. The top two highest paid coaches made over $7 million each. While university staff overall has increased, professors aren't the people being hired. It's primarily administrative staff. Since the mid-1970s, the number of non-teaching employees has grown by 369%, compared to just 23% for full-time faculty. Altogether, students who went to college in the U.S. owe $845 billion, and it's a lucrative business for the federal government, which owns most of that debt. But does getting an education have to be this expensive? Check out what this American student in Germany had to say.
You get much more value for your money here. You hardly pay anything, and you get an education that is, I would say, on the same level, if not better, than many American universities.
Maybe it's time to figure out how we can make college affordable without having to go abroad.
As touched on earlier, education is no longer limited to the classroom, nor is it limited to a computer. As online learning continues to evolve, expect to see higher education marketing trends that include mobile and tablet learning, including mobile-optimized courses, videos, study guides, and textbooks. Higher education institutions make a majority of their revenue from tuition. However, there is a growing trend online and in mobile apps to give education away for free. Online courses, how-to videos, and articles provide the same kind of information that students may have once had to pay access for. While this may have initially been seen as a major loss for higher education, many savvy colleges and universities will begin to take advantage of freely available education as this trend continues. Expect the future of college marketing to include free online courses as a way to introduce students to a particular school or subject and convince them to enroll for a more in-depth course. Higher education institutions will also embrace freely available articles and how-to information and how to use it to supplement their teaching. Rather than teaching and charge for the same information available online for free, the best institutions will evolve their courses and classes to incorporate this widely available material as a supplement, perhaps even eliminating unnecessary textbooks and reducing charges to students, making them happier and more likely to enroll, not thinking about the highly cost of attendance and tuition fees. Communication methods will also evolve as time progresses. Right now, if a university would want to reach a potential student or their family member, you might update a university's website or post on social media, or perhaps send out something directly to them in the mail. However, online communication email can be used not only to send updates on events and schedules, but it also provides information on the benefits of a college education and or about that specific university. Additionally, social media will continue to evolve and will become a massive platform to share curated, relevant content. For example, information about effective study methods, local events going on around campus, and so on. It will also become a hub for students to exchange information and ask questions about things. Finally, content marketing which is already an important trend for many higher education enterprises, will become an important part of every higher education marketing plan. Content marketing will allow universities and private schools to reach more potential students and families who are searching for information online, giving them answers and providing the help they seek to make important decisions on their higher education future. For example, a student who is concerned about the cost of college in their state may search for something like, how much does the college cost in Arizona? If the institution is located in this state, the school could write an informative article answering this question in a greater detail, along with resources to help them calculate the cost of each degree they might be interested in, along with all of the financial materials listed. This would help them learn more not only about the cost of college, but about that college specifically, making them more likely to choose that specific institution for their educational needs. My own conclusion that I drew from researching everything on this topic was that the landscape of higher education has experienced more change in the past 15 years than it has at any time since the Second World War. From how education was marketed then and now is very different. Growth has been a major factor in this, but there are a number of influences that have fostered this growth and change, with one being the GI Bill, which granted our veterans the opportunity to pursue higher education after their service. Other changes that have contributed to this growth and change include the newer generations seeking career advancement through higher education, and the millennials, including myself, are the so-called digital natives who bring much a higher tech-savvy capabilities and expectations to the table. With this, I spoke on earlier on the proliferation of distance learning and online higher education, and the push for more competency-based education programs, which is a valid reason due to the large amount of student loan debt that our country has going on currently, and the tuition costs only seem to keep rising. On the other hand, online higher education is increasingly being embraced by traditional universities that realize their own future stakes in higher education will be within the online world. And that is where the future is for marketing a strong higher education program.